Hi. Have you been doing EFT tapping and noticing that different people use different points and you're wondering which are the right ones to use? I'm going to run you through very, very quickly the points. If you're not familiar with the points at all, I'm going to show you where they are on the body. And we're going to talk briefly about why people do different ones. Now, EFT was originally created by Gary Craig back in the 1990s, who learned from Dr. Roger Callahan, and then tweaked and simplified the process. Now, there was an original, what was called basic recipe, that included a short version and a long version that had all the fingers. Now, the intention with EFT is to use the acupuncture or acupressure points, there's more than 300 of them on the body, and try and hit up as many of the endpoints of the meridians are the pathways or the lines that have the dots, these lines of energy, try and hit up as many of those as possible to be able to support as many different bodily systems as possible, because it's in the body where we hold stress, and EFT is primarily a stress reduction tool. Now, I'm sharing all of this as a certified accredited EFT practitioner. So this is stuff that I have formally studied. So you can rest assured that this is correct information. Where to start? Well, not all EFT practitioners agree about that, but usually most EFT practitioners will start with the side of the hand, which is sometimes called the karate chop point, for obvious reasons if you've ever studied karate. It doesn't matter whether you use this hand or this hand. The easiest way to do it is to do the tapping motion with whatever is your dominant hand. So I'm right-handed. I tap with my right hand doing the movement. Many practitioners, including myself, will from here start around by going to the top of the head. It's not wrong if people do the version and then end with the top of the head, which is the way that Gary used to do it. But in actuality, and that's the way that it's done for scientific research, it's done classical EFT, which goes this version and then to the top of the head. It doesn't matter unless you are running a research project and you have to do everything all the same. If you are using EFT to improve the quality of your own life, do it in whichever freaking order you want. I like to do what is simple, repeatable, and easy to remember, which means I start at the top. You're basically going from the front to the back about halfway, side to side about halfway, in the middle, use lots of fingers, use two hands if you want. Eyebrow point is at the start of the eyebrow. You can use one finger or two. Then the outside of the eye, which is literally where the eyebrow ends. So as long as you've got eyebrows, you got it sorted. Then under the eye is, imagine if you go straight down from the pupil, you're pressing on the bone. One finger, two fingers. If you're feeling tired or you only have one arm, use one hand. It doesn't matter which one. But if you have two hands and you have capacity to do it, use both. Under the nose. This one can get a bit snotty and wet when you're like sniffly and stuff. So it's good to have tissues. Here, we call it the chin point, but it's actually below the lip. It's just in here. One finger, two fingers. These ones I find work better with just one hand, because otherwise if you do two, you end up missing the point because it's right in the center. Collarbone point. This is my favorite. It is by far my go-to the most. It is linked in with the kidneys. Kidneys is where we store fear. Most of the time when we get down to it, the thing that we want to tap on, there's an element of fear. Even if fear or anxiety or worry isn't the main thing, usually there's a fear in there somewhere. So if nothing else, you can always bring your arms up and tap away. You can always rub them as well. If you're in public and you don't want anyone to know you're tapping, just rub. They'll think you're like fiddling with your t-shirt, right? So let's get really clear on where this is. Follow your collarbone. If you've got really pronounced collarbones like me, it'll be really easy. Otherwise, just feel for where the end is on the inside of your body. And then you're going down a couple of centimeters, and there's just a little down and kind of out a little bit. There's a little groove in there, and you're looking for that. You don't have to get it perfect. EFT is a really forgiving process. So just take all those fingers and tap away, and you're going to hit the point. Okay. The next one that is done a lot, some people find it quite awkward. It depends on the shape of your body and the mobility that you have in your arms. If you can do the point, do it. If you can't, don't lose sleep over it. You're going for the under the arm down to where, if you're a person who wears a bra, go around to where the bra strap would be. And you tap on one side. If you can tap on both, do that. Some people do it like this. Doesn't matter, whatever works for you. If you can do it, do it. It's a great point. Okay. This one I love, and so many EFT practitioners don't do it because it feels awkward to talk about it. It is below the nipple. It is magic for anger. If you can do this point, please, 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 please include it in your own tapping rounds. So go from the nipple down, and you're looking for basically 2 ribs below the nipple, if you can work out where that is depending on the shape of your body. If you're a person with really big breasts, you might have to lift your breast up and actually like tap underneath. If you can do that, I recommend that you do. Even if the only time that you ever use it is when you're really angry. Walk away from the person who's making you angry and go tap until you feel calmer. Okay. The last point that I use really regularly is the wrist point. You can do it this way. There's points along here, or you can do it this way, where you tap your hands together like this. Doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. There are points along the fingers that Gary Craig used to use a lot. I rarely use them, except for when I'm walking and talking with someone, and I want to be able to do some tapping while I'm walking because I'm having a conversation that upsets me for some reason. So then I will just literally rub the points. So I'll show you how to find the points on your hands if you ever want to be able to have one that you can do while you're walking. It's a bit awkward to do this while you're walking because you want to actually be able to move your hands. I have discovered that trying to tap while you're running doesn't work very well, so don't do that. Or if you find a really great way to do it, tell me in the comments because I want to know too. But so far my attempts have not worked very well. But tapping and walking is doable. So that's when you use your fingers. Take your palms, face them towards me, put your thumbs together, and then look at the point where the thumb nails meet each other. So that's where the point is, if you can see what I'm doing. So I'm taking my dominant hand again and pressing here. You can tap on it, but if you're tapping and walking, which is the only time I use these points, then I just end up rubbing it, right? I just rub it, same thing. Does the same thing, helps to calm the stress response. So it is on, there are points, there's always an argument about the ring finger. We can have that discussion in the comments if you like, but if you are rubbing or tapping, you can tap on the same inside, the way I've shown you, of all of the fingers. There is a point, just for the people who want to get really particular, there is a point on the opposite side of the ring finger that we can also pick up in the gamut point here. So if you want to, you could just do both sides of your fingernail bed, and then you'll be covered. Again, there's so many points. It's hard to like not hit a point in your body, right? But that's the time when I use the finger points, is when I am walking and talking with someone and the conversation gets a bit heated, or I feel a bit uncomfortable, or I know it's a conversation I have to have, but it feels really clunky or icky for some reason. That's a good time. The last point you may have seen an EFT practitioner use with you, you'll rarely see it in videos, I think, is the gamut point, which is in the valley between your pinky finger and your ring finger, and you run down and there's a valley in there. You can put your hand on here and tap like this. That one's really nice. Again, you can do it with the other hand, or you can just rub it. So that, my dear, is all of the points that are regularly used. If you are regularly doing EFT and you're regularly doing it on your own, you're not doing it with a practitioner, then pick the points that work for you, that make sense for what you can do with your body. And if you have great mobility and can do everything, then I recommend, if you use setup statements, do it on the side of the hand while you talk out to get really clear on what the problem is. And then once you're really clear, it's like this fear in my chest, or I can't believe he said that. He makes me so angry, whatever the thing is. Then just tap through the points and really be with the part of the body that's feeling stressed. And use 2 hands when you can. And work your way through, especially if you're angry. And remember to breathe. And you have any questions or comments, feel free to pop them in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please hit like so more people find it. And you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. It's free to do so.